All right, guys, let's talk about the New Jersey Devils. Absolutely abysmal season last season. I'm just going to come straight out and say it. After all of their sort of the hype around them being cup contenders because of what they did the season prior, um, yeah, it just wasn't good. And I understand there was a lot of injuries, a lot of issues, but you expected more. Goaltending let them down massively. The defense wasn't fantastic. And due to that, they've had massive clean outs. So let's dive straight into the 2024-25 projected lineups, and I'll get Jaden to take you through it.
Yeah, doesn't go through coaching changes either, but that's besides the point. We'll just go through the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
We got Brat, Heesha, Meyer, we got Palat, Hauler, Hughes, Cotter, Lazard, Nason coming back to New Jersey after 5 or so years away. Tatar come back to well. And then you got Mercer and Bastion. The other Hughes brother on the defense there, that's Luke, Nemec, Dylan, Pesce, Sigenthaler, and Hamilton on the defense there. Crazy that they they have Hamilton on the third, but whatever. We won't mind
Yeah, I don't trust
that.
these
We won't
lines
mind that.
at all. Mercer fourth line, it's just not happening. But
It's because of injuries.
we'll
That's
go
how it
with it.
was.
We'll go
But
with it.
then you
Yeah.
got a brand new goalie set up in regards to Markstrom and Allen. And then just in the press box, they re-signed McDermott, the boxer, and then Kovacevic. So decent press box there as well. Granted, it's a whole new face overhaul because of new coach. So what the systems and everything that we probably are expecting probably won't be the same. We maybe see something similar to what Toronto was doing, though they kind of had the same team builds, I would say, as Toronto in regards to the playmakers and whatnot. That you might see just similar playstyle to Toronto, what they were doing, and then maybe hopefully they can do better in the playoffs with that. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like they've shored up some of their depth in regards to with Nason and you got Cotter there. They bring in Pesce on the D, and then you got Dylan there as well. So that they're shoring up a few areas. Obviously, the goaltending change is a big overhaul. That's probably the biggest question mark for this team, and it has been since probably Brodeur. Um, Snyder was good, probably top five goaltenders in the league for a while, but he was probably on the worst team in the league. So it didn't even matter how good you were, and nobody will remember that because nobody remembers how good you were when you're on a bad team.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then he went to shit because he was
yeah,
injured. Yeah,
yeah, he went
exactly.
he went to shit at the time they started getting good. So
Yeah, yeah,
you got Markstrom here, 34, Allen here, 34. Both good goaltenders. Both have seen really good days. Obviously, Markstrom, um, we'll just go have a look at his stats, has been up and down recently, but generally pretty much over his whole entire career, besides one, really in the recent history, over 900 in save percentage, and that's what New Jersey are looking for here is just a maybe a 905 save percentage, and that's what will get them over the line. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this team? Maybe the coaching change.
Well, I
What's the big
mean,
changes here?
look. At the end of the day, a 905 was better than what they got last season. But I will say it was a 905 with a Calgary defense in front of it. So, um, it's hard to tell. His age is there, but I'm you can't really be angry with what the Devils management has managed to do in this off season because everyone said they're too small. Well, they've gotten bigger. Um, their goaltending sucks. Well, they've got new goaltenders and two proven goaltenders. Um, their bottom six is just not good enough. Well, they brought in Paul Cotter, Stefan Nason, Thomas Tatar's back. Um, like, well, what more can you ask for? Um, in reality. So I feel like their management has done a really good job in putting a lineup together that realistically should have them back to what they were doing 2 seasons ago. The big question is going to come down to the health of this team. You already have Luke Hughes, who's going to miss the start of this season. I don't think he's going to miss a lot of games. I think it's mainly just the Prague games, but that's still concerning, right? So, off the get go, they're down one of their better defenders. Can Jack Hughes stay healthy for a season? Timo Meyer was, up and down injured last season. Nico Hischier was injured last season. Um, they can they get a full season out of these players with no injury play again? I know, look, Jack only missed 20, Nico was 10, Timo was like 13 or whatever, but it's the spread of them. They all miss like 3, 4, 5 games at a time, and it throws their momentum out. And they've got to sort of try and get back into the groove of things when they come back. So I really think everything management's done is brilliant, but the big question now is going to be, can their superstars stay healthy? Because if they can, I've got this team as a lock for a playoff spot, and I think they're going to be dangerous. But it is really going to come down to that health of the team. I think Sheldon Keith, new coach, I think he's going to be really good for the team. His question mark has never been, can he get a team to the playoffs? It's, can he do something in the playoffs? It's a new team. It's
And
not
yeah,
a Toronto.
well, a coach's
Um,
job, like they can only do with what they're given, and for
exactly.
Toronto's side, I think it was management's fault, in my opinion, not Sheldon Keefe's, in
Mm,
regards to the squads he was getting. Um, Look, in my opinion, he gets a better squad in regards to versatility and what you can use to approach with your coaching philosophy. I think he'll hit it out of the park.
probably all
He'll
over depth as well.
and just
One thing
depth,
that
yeah.
Toronto never had.
Uh, yeah, better decor. It's probably just the goaltending that's a little bit shaky for this team, depending how Markstrom plays. And that's the biggest question is their goaltending. They're both 34. We know goaltenders can stay in their prime at this age, but they have both of these players have shown glimpses of regression or at least poor performance. And if that continues, then this team will be in trouble, and they'll be looking again for another goaltender. And it's just hard to find a 1A goaltender these days, especially assuming other ones have already been moved. Um, yeah, look, you already hit the nail on the head in regards to injuries. It is a thing, especially when a lot of these players, like Palat would miss 10 games, and then once he comes back, someone else would go out, and there was always just multiple people out of the lineup all season. So you want to see at least the core, probably like your top six and probably your first two D pairs to stay healthy,
Yeah,
and that's what you need from this team. Look, you said they got the size. Their defense is huge in regards to size. The smallest one there, 6'1", rest 6'2" and above. A couple of 6'6" players there, and like Hamilton. You got Markstrom at 6'6" in the net. Their forward line is still pretty small regarding compared to the teams that we've looked at before, and they're small in regards to weight as well. Like they don't throw their weight around. Like Brat's tiny. Heisha is tiny, but he actually does well holding his ground. Uh, Palat Hauler, not tiny, but smaller. Tatar's small. Mercer still growing. Hughes, obviously, both Hughes brothers are still growing. Like that is a problem with this team. There is the physicality issue, and I'm not sure if the depth pieces they brought in, like Cotter, the McDermotts, um, can alleviate all of that pain. This team relies a lot on speed, but when it comes to like, I have no issues with this team making playoffs. I think they will hit it out the park with Keith. The issue is the playoffs. I don't think this team is built for playoffs. There's too much speed and not enough physicality because we all know playoffs is just a different game in general, and it's not because um, it's the playoffs. It's more intense. It's literally the rules are just called differently, so you can do things differently. So the game is literally different to the regular season, and this team isn't built for it, in my opinion. So I feel like
yeah,
second round playoffs would probably be my projection, just because of
yeah,
that. Because of that.
yeah. Look, it is going to be interesting, and I think that's going to be the big focal point is, can this team be more physical? because I agree with you. I think that is they have gotten bigger, but the question is are they going to throw their weight around? Can can the likes of Brat, Heisha, we know Timo Meyer can throw his body around, but can he do it consistently and stay healthy? Jack Hughes, can they just have some sort of physicality to their, high speed game? Still play that quick game, still play that speedy sort of style, but just have that physical edge about them as well, where they're just not going to take shit from people. They're going to go, they're going to hit hard, they're going to keep playing their game, and they're going to be able to grind teams down, like you said, which happens in the playoffs. I I don't know. I'm hopeful for him. I'm hoping that that size and the coaching change can get them into that mood. The thing I'm most impressed about as well with the team is just some of the depth they've got in terms of defense as well. Like their preseason at the moment, Seamus Casey is looking phenomenal. Missoul is looking really good. And you got Hutker who's come out and said that he wants a on ice spot in that top six from the get go, which is just huge. I thought he was fantastic last season in the games he played, but to come out with that sort of mentality is just monstrous, showing you that this team has some depth about it now, um, which is just something that I think they lacked last season. So that when they did get injuries, they just had no one to come up and replace them. Um, Whereas in this season, I think if they got one or two injuries, it's not going to be the be all and end all. I think they can replace it. It's just you don't want that to happen. You don't you want a full season from Nico and Hughes and all the
Hmm.
rest of that. But the good signs is that if something does happen, or even if something happens to their bottom six, they've got good enough replacements to come in and step in seamlessly,
Yeah, it's
which they just
probably the
didn't
team with the
have
most
last
depth
season.
that we've crossed so far.
Yeah,
Like I already mentioned my worries with the team in some aspects. Look, they got some good things going from like bringing in a lot of veterancy. Like they've got Palat, Horler, Nason, Hamilton, like all these players with Markstrom, like all these players with playoff experiences that will help all these younger players as well. So there's no issues there. They've got a good balance of young and old. A lot of their young players are in their prime, with the Heishes and Hughes kind of hitting that point. A couple young D players in regards to the Luke Hughes and Nemec, but they're still growing. Obviously, they've got to improve their defensive D. Um, I think they will improve their power play. I think that will be improved by Nason. He is absolutely amazing in front of net for Carolina, and that moves Hisha to the bumper. And then obviously you got the Brat, Hughes out in the wings, and then maybe Hamilton at point, if they play that type of system. And
Hamilton back will be huge for their power play.
and then yeah, you got 20 goals to come back from Hamilton plus all the assists he was doing. We only got 20 games out of him last season, so that's another huge added benefit. Pesce is someone we haven't even touched on, which was a big addition. His team's got a lot to like. They have got tougher. I just want to see some of their smaller players be tough. That's the
You want
big
to
key
see
there.
the proof.
Yeah,
You want to see the proof. We can sit here and look at this on paper and be like, yeah, it looks fantastic. They've gotten bigger. They look good. It should work. But they get onto the ice and they just don't finish their checks.
mm.
Like,
You got to understand
um,
this team's in the East, and they're got to go through teams like Boston, Florida, in the playoffs. And if
oh,
you
100%.
if this type of weighted team comes and the styles they play, granted we haven't seen what Sheldon Keefe's going to do with this team, um,
Mm,
but from what he has done with Toronto, we can take from that. And I don't know if they can do it just purely because of the style that they play.
yeah.
And this team has been injury prone, which will probably mean injuries in the playoffs when you're coming against Florida or Boston. So those are the Warriors for New Jersey, but I think it's probably back to 2 seasons ago where they're going to make the playoffs and it's all looking good. and then it's what can you do in the playoffs, and that's the big key there. All right, and
Yeah.
yeah, I got nothing much more else to add. Obviously, Luke Hughes contract year could go crazy. You've got a couple UFAs, not too big to note, but like Bastion, Tatar, Lazar won't do anything crazy, so not much re-signing there. Obviously, Jake Allen only the 1 year, so not many contracts they've got to worry about in regards to it. But the Luke Hughes re-signing could be big if he has a big season. Um, but yeah, I predict playoffs. If it's not playoffs, it's bust, and then you're probably looking to get past the second round this time. But yeah, if you got nothing more to add, I guess we can leave it there.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I think playoffs will bust for this team. But I just wanted to mention the player to watch
Oh yeah.
for me is I want to see Timo Meyer put up 40 goals. I want to
Mm.
see him in his contract year
Well, if he plays his
form.
position,
If
which
he
which
play,
a
yeah, well,
coach won't let him
exactly.
play, didn't let him play last
Plays
year.
his position, plays his position. I think they can get 40 goals out of him. Get that big physical, game again, and I think he will be absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, he's my player to watch.
Yeah, look, I got too many for this team. Just because so many people are gonna should be hitting new peaks. Um, I guess my two big ones is Hughes and Nemitz. It's I don't care about the points they put up. It's what have you improved on your regards to your D. You're a defenseman. That's where your improvement should always be focused on, and I don't see that a lot of the time with these offensive D-men. And they've shown last season they have huge gaping holes in their defensive game. So that's what I'm looking for is Hughes or Nemitz to at least step up and have a better defensive game than they did last year. Hopefully, having a bet like a plus minus positive. So if you was to pick one of them, I'd probably say Nemitz because he was probably the one with the bigger gap, even though the plus minus doesn't say that.
Yeah, yeah, I think
It's
that
just a lot of Hughes got too much responsibility last season because Hamilton being missing.
well, they both did, and I think they're both going to actually benefit from having Hamilton back and a player like Brett Pesci and Dylan to come in as well, and not have to be that relied on. I think if you can get them down to the low 20s, if not below the 20-minute mark a game, I think the Devils are going to benefit from that greatly because they're both fantastic players, but they're also both 20 years old, and the the what they were expected to do last year and to basically hold the team up on their shoulders because Hamilton was gone. A lot of their other defenders were having down years. It's a lot to put on two young players. So I really do hope that they stay healthy and that those two guys can have an important role but a lesser role so that they can feel a little bit more confident in just going out there and playing their game style and not having to be so dependent on all the time.
Yeah, easy. Obviously, big note. Markstrom's probably a really big one to watch just in general because two new
Mm.
goaltenders. But I guess we can leave it there. Don't forget to like the video, comment below what you think in New Jersey Devils and what their future holds. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more hockey content from us Aussies. But till next time, we'll catch you guys.
All right, see you guys.